Good evening, my little soldier. I know, usually it's your servants that put you to bed. I'm always so busy as the Empress. But I wanted to make some time for you tonight. I'm still a parent after all, and you're still my child. You're already washed up, yes? All that's left is for you to get into bed and go to sleep? Good. There isn't any rush, though. We can talk for a little bit. There is a reason I chose tonight to visit. I've been told you're having a little bit of trouble with your teachers lately. Oh, I understand, believe me. It's a lot of responsibility, being the child of the Empress, and you didn't ask for it. But if you could bring yourself to sit still for your lessons, you might find that there are a lot of fascinating things for you to learn. I know, my little soldier. Combat training is your favorite. I swear you'll be better on the battlefield than soldiers twice your age when you're ready. But you're not destined to be a mere soldier, you know. That's just a nickname. You're gonna be a leader. And for a leader, what you know is much more important than what you can do on your own. I know you struggle with studying, and I think that some of the blame lies with me. I brought some of the most knowledgeable people in the Empire to tutor you, but they're not necessarily the best teachers, are they? And they certainly don't know how to properly make use of your many talents. I promise I'll get you some better tutors for you. They'll be much more hands-on. Take you out of the palace and show you the real world up close. I bet you'll like that, wouldn't you? Good. Now, if I remember correctly, the servants usually read you a story before bed, don't they? Would it be all right if I read you a special story tonight? Splendid! Okay, go ahead and hop in bed then. I wrote this story myself. Well, I had it written for me, I suppose. But it's especially for you, because there are some things that you ought to know. Are you ready? There once was a queen who ruled over a large kingdom. It was a wealthy, prosperous nation, guided by the great wisdom of its ruler. The royalty and nobility lived comfortable, happy lives, and the common people were proud to be able to work hard to support them. But because the queen was so wise, she knew that this peace might not last. She knew that the kingdom needed to be more than a kingdom to have the strength to protect itself and its peace. It needed to become an empire. You're quick on the draw as ever, my little soldier. This is indeed a story about myself. It's important that you know how I became the Empress I am today, so that you know what it is you'll be inheriting one day. Now, allow me to continue. So, the queen declared herself an Empress, and began to bring neighboring kingdoms into the fold. These kingdoms were very fortunate to join the empire, even if they didn't realize it at the time. Some people, uncomfortable with change, foolishly resisted, and the Empress performed her solemn duty and suppressed the rebellions for their own good. Despite the occasional uprising from the ignorant and ungrateful, the empire expanded steadily day by day, until one day an enemy arose to oppose the Empress. A false hero tricked the people into believing that the Empress didn't have the right to rule. At first, the false hero was barely a threat, but more and more citizens of the empire and even kingdoms who had yet to join it rallied under the hero's promise of pointless freedom, instead of the safety and prosperity of the empire. Oh, no. There's something that many commoners misunderstand. Freedom isn't really a right, it's a privilege. It's a privilege granted to those who take on the burden to rule, as a reward for their hard work. Them, and those who are most loyal to them, the commoners wouldn't know what to do with freedom, They only make themselves miserable with it. It's a good thing we're changing your tutors. It seems your history teacher has planted some naive ideas into your head, little soldier. Trust me, this is the best way to lead a nation. After all, who knows how to lead better than the most powerful empress in the world? But people just don't know what's best for them. The false hero knew that, you see. People who call themselves heroes are arrogant and cruel. They lie to people around them, giving them things they don't need and taking away the things they do, all to gain fame and glory. Absolutely despicable. And the so-called hero is the worst one I've ever seen, then or since. Now, let's not have any more interruptions, It's very important that we finish the story, and I can see that your eyes are already wanting to shut. Now, that is the Empress, knew she had to act quickly and strike down this hero for the good of her people. But it was difficult to track down such a crafty enemy. The Empress's own people would shelter them, taken in by their lies. Unfortunately, those people had to face punishment for the sake of the greater good. But after years of searching, quelling rebellions, and disciplining rabble-rousers, the Empress's dedication was rewarded. She found the hero's secret home, where they would hide away when they weren't infiltrating the Empire. The Empress personally led a squad of her finest soldiers to eliminate the dreadful threat to the Empire's peace. The false hero was taken by surprise, but nonetheless they fought like an unnatural beast. Many of the Empire's most loyal and noble soldiers were lost that day. The battle was so frantic that even the Empress herself was forced to risk her own life and join in. The hero landed several blows on the brave Empress, to the point that she walked with a limp for the rest of her days and now bore a scar on her face. I wish I could tell you that the Empress managed to slay the foul villain, but she could not. As the Empress's forces began to try and surround them, the false hero fled. The Empress, still bloodied from the fight, stumbled into the hero's home to search for some hint of where they had headed. But what she found instead was far more valuable. It was a tiny infant, sleeping in a makeshift crib, the hero's very own child, simply abandoned there so they could save themselves. No doubt the hero had intended to raise the child to carry on their devious plans. The Empress was overcome with empathy for the little baby. The false hero had been living in filth and poverty in order to stay ahead of the Empress's patrols, and the poor infant was weak and dirty. No child should have to live that way. So the Empress decided to raise the child as her own, to give the ill-fated infant a better chance at life, and if, perhaps, the false hero someday returned, the Empress would be able to use the to protect the child, and in the process get her revenge for all the imperial citizens who had been led astray. And that, my little soldier, is how you came to be mine. I am so very glad I was able to rescue you from the life of poverty and crime that you were destined to before. Even though my duties as Empress will keep me very busy, it's been a delight to watch you grow. I only want what's best for you. For that reason, I only ask that you do your best in your studies. I'm certain that you'll find out before long that you actually have a knack for learning. You've always been clever, after all. You may not be my child by blood, but you absolutely take after me that way all the same. I'm certain you'll be leading my army someday and bring peace and prosperity to all our neighbors. And who knows, maybe you'll even be able to capture the no-good biological parent of yours someday. We can both get the revenge we deserve. I hope that brings you pleasant dreams. Good night, my little soldier. Good night. Sleep tight.